Good evening and thank you for joining us on the news at 8. My name is Joyce Mabika. Piswe Zomnika is on sign language.
Indeed, it is a beautiful evening. Joyce, a warm welcome to the news at 8. I'm Liam Bernard. Sibu Kilemaposa will join us much later from our Montrose studios. These are our leading stories tonight.
World Bank predicts an over 6% growth rate in Zimbabwe's economy this year.
And in other news, police information management system set for implementation. The system will include forensic laboratory, crime management, and electronic traffic management.
Now, leading sports story tonight, football fans in quandary about the ZIFA elections, raising questions about the voting process.
Those are our leading stories tonight. We start off with the main story. The World Bank is seeing a huge potential in Zimbabwe's economy after predicting an over 6% growth rate this year. Our first report tonight.
A 2025 Global Economic Prospects report compiled by the World Bank shows that Zimbabwe is ranked among the top sub-Saharan Africa economies that will recover to register growth. With its prediction at 6.2% growth, the Bretton Woods Institution is endorsing a Treasury forecast of 6%. The World Bank reveals that Zimbabwe's economy registered a 2% growth last year from more than 5% in 2023. It attributes the slowdown in economic performance for 2024 to the El Nino-induced drought coupled with local and global shocks. Zimbabwe's growth forecast by the World Bank is above the average forecast for the sub-Saharan economies this year at 4%. According to the World Bank projections, Zimbabwe outpaces the region's powerhouse South Africa, whose economy is expected to grow by 1.8%. Agricultural rebound aided by anticipated recovery in global commodity prices, including a resilient wholesale and retail sector, is expected by the World Bank to drive economic performance. The global financier, however, warns Zimbabwe, including global economies, to guard against the effects of climate change, rising poverty levels, unemployment, geopolitical tensions, high cost of food and energy, among others. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
The late national hero, Comrade Jena Muchimtengwende, who died this Thursday, has been described as a fatherly figure and a Pan-Africanist who was development-oriented.
The family of the late national hero, Comrade Jena Muchimtengwende, says the national hero status bestowed on their father was a result of his legacy of development, which resonated with ideologies of Pan-Africanism. The family has recounted his unwavering commitment to uplifting the marginalized and fostering an inclusive environment for all citizens.
Wanga wasinga waenda kuchikora vasina ma school fees, wanga wasina mari dzekuita ma projects, vaingowapa vachivabatsira kuti vasumudzira kuti vaone zvinovabatsira. Zvakawanda zvavakaita, kunyange vairwara vaingona vatumira wangopa mari kubatsira kuti varapwe.
Comrade Chimtengwende dedicated his life to the betterment of society, advocating for policies that promoted economic growth, education and social justice.
Munhu akanga ari munhu aigona kubatanidza vanhu. Munhu aida kudzidzisa vanhu about the revolution. In fact, pfungwa dzavo dzakanga dziri on the transformation of the mindset yema blacks. Saka izvozvo vaizviunza even mumhuri kuti vanhu vave open minded, vagone kuziva their purpose in their country. Mumhuri as a politician vaka influence quite a lot kuti vanhu vazive kuti ideology yavo yavanoteera, because he was a journalist, he was also a writer, vainyora mabhuku, and with me, because I'm also a writer, saka taigara tichiita exchange information.
Meanwhile, the late national hero's family says it remains grateful for the national hero status bestowed on their father.
Tinotenda president nebato redu reZANU PF kupa recognition yekushanda kwakaita baba kushandira nyika yeZimbabwe. Tinozvikudza nekuzvitenda zvikuru nekuti isu semhuri taiona kushanda kwavaita. Baba vakashandira nyika zvikuru.
Born on 28 August 1943, Comrade Chimtengwende first became a member of parliament in 1985 in Mazoe and would be a legislator for 25 years. He also served as a cabinet minister in various portfolios for 14 years. Mourners are gathered at the family home in Chiweshe, Mazwe district. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
Now in farming, Manicaland has surpassed its provincial maize target of 265,000 hectares after reaching 273,000 hectares, with farmers and government optimistic of a successful agricultural season. Kenya's Chivuje filed that report.
After having surpassed the provincial Fuvudza maize target of 84,000 hectares on the first week of January after exceeding 100,000 hectares, Manicaland has surpassed its provincial maize target of 265,000 hectares. This was revealed by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Dr. Anxious Masuga, this Friday during a crop assessment tour in Manicaland province.
Here in Boera, we have seen what Pfumvudza in Twasa can do. There are 18 plots here. This farmer sends a minimum of 7 tons to GMB annually, which shows that even in a communal setup, farming indeed can be a business if the Pfumvudza principles are followed. We have seen very widespread rains. Manicaland has surpassed its target for maize, and if this wet spell continues as predicted by the Meteorological Services Department, we are surely on our way to assuring this nation of food security for the 2024-2025 season.
Mrs. Tambudza Nyangwaira of Gwini village in Buera, whose Pfumvudza plots were told by Minister Masuka, is now optimistic of a successful agriculture season, while agronomist and other board chairperson Mr. Ivan Craig commended Ms. Nyangwaira for following good agronomic practices such as crop rotation.
Mumunda mangu gore rino ndakaita maplots 18 makore apfuura ndanga ndine aisvika kuma 12 but pa 12 acho iwawo ndaiwana mukoho unoita 7 tons asi gore rino challenge yandakaita ini semurimi mvura yakanaya iri shoma saka ndaibva nemvura ndainosunga ngoro ndonochera mvura yangu kuchigojo chiri kure kudhamu riri kure uko ndouya ndodiridzira mbeu dzangu.
Kuno kuBoera kwatauya tiri kuona isusu kuti takaropafadzwa nemvura, kuri kunaya mvura, uyezve tiri kuona isusu kuti taona zvirimwa zvakanatsonaka munzira mose, mvura irinatsonaya, zvirimwa zviri kunatsobuda. Chinhu chatinakidza pano patiri ndechekuti vanhu vepano vakarongeka. Tiri kuona isusu kuti vakarima chibage chavo chatoo nerurebvu zvekuti chero mvura ikanziyo yachienda asi still vanokwanisa kunge vachikohwa. Agritex tinoda kuvatenda zvikuru neurongwa huri pano vari kunatsoratidza nyaya yekugadzirisa ivhu.
Before visiting Buera, Minister Masuka visited a thriving farming venture in Makoni district belonging to Fungai Makoni, who has entered into joint venture to plant 1,550 hectares of maize and other crops. The Minister of Agriculture is convinced that the revolutionary intervention by President Mnangagwa to give farmers title deeds will usher in a period of increased productivity due to investments driven by security of tenure. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Buera.
Still in Manicaland, a Forbes border post in Mutare has recorded a massive increase in the number of people and goods passing through the port of entry, in a development that has seen government pledging to accelerate the upgrade of the Eastern Gateway to the sea.
The introduction of a 24-hour border system has resulted in a huge increase in the number of people and commercial vehicles passing through the port of entry. The Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe, told Forbes border post in Mutare this Thursday, where he got an insight into the flow of human and commercial traffic.
The comparative statistics would show that January 2023, we cleared a total of 18,343 entries. And when the border started operating 24 hours, the figure moved to 26,607, showing a very significant rise.
Government is satisfied with the efficiency that has come with the introduction of the 24-hour border management system.
We are now operating 24 hours and this has alleviated the situation, and we are expecting to have more improvement as and when the border post has been rehabilitated and matched with the Beit Bridge border post.
As alluded to by the ZIMRA official, we now have increased numbers of people coming up after the opening up of the border for 24 hours, and even more coming into Zimbabwe compared to 2023. So we want to thank the President, His Excellency Dr. Edin Mandagwa, for giving that directive to open 24 hours. But having said that, having moved around, there is need to expedite the upgrade of this facility.
Minister Kazembe, who was accompanied by his deputy Honorable Chidosa Nyatwe and Manicaland Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Advocate Mishek Mugadza, also told the Tongogara refugee settlement, where refugees are highly appreciative of government support.
To live here in 20 years when they are supporting you and give you everything that you need is not easy. Especially as you can see now, people are going in Harare, no one touching you.
We say thank you for the government for making sure that we are well taken care of.
Turi kupiwa chikavu, twakapiwa minda, turi kulima chibaki.
Honorable Kazembe and his entourage also visited Mutare Museum with the view of further marketing the facility to increase the number of visitors. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Mutare.
Now, the ruling ZANU PF party says it has begun the initiation process towards the implementation of resolutions passed at the National People's Conference held in Bulawayo last year.
The first ZANU PF Mashonaland West Provincial Coordinating Committee PCC meeting has been held in Chinoi this Saturday, with the party leadership led by Politburo member Comrade Ziambi imploring members to unite ahead of the implementation of party resolutions passed at the National People's Conference late last year.
Urongwa hwedu hwema-resolution anobva kuvanhu onyorwa painter-district ouya kuno kuprovince tozeya tobvumirana tosumudza maoko chairman oenda nawo kunational onobatanidzwa kuconference. Kana achinge abatanidzwa ama-resolution ezANU PF. Saka vamunangagwa hapana pavakamboti ndiri kuda zvekuti nezvekuti. Nauye zvinotapa process yekuti tizadzise zvido zvedu semhuri yeZimbabwe.
Provincial Chairperson Comrade Mary Mliswa Chikoka buttressed on the need for unity of purpose, warning against misuse of social media in fanning factionalism and division in the party.
A person cannot just have a liberty with your line. Ongo enter enter into a group usina kukumbira. Unongo buda. The official groups isusu dzatinoziva PCC, PEC, Women's League, War Veterans League, ne Youth League. Those are the Central Committee. Those are the official groups atinoziva muno mu province.
Minister of State for Mashonaland West Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Marin Chombo, gave an update on some of the developmental milestones achieved in the province to date.
President Wakayaka Commissioner Pixton Shaft Expansion Project. Iya yakabatsira nyaya dzekuwana vana vedu kuti vaone mabasa. Uye tikaenda kuzimplants inoita zveplatinum. Vaka-invest about $1.8 billion kusmelter plant yavakagadzirisa ikoko. Uye vakagadzira masolar plant yemagetsi inotipa 45 megawatts. These two projects yakamira kucommissionwa na president.
Meanwhile, the ruling party resolved to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term, and most recently the country's main opposition party, CCC, endorsed the resolution saying it reflects the wishes of the general citizenry. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Chinoi.
The increase in the participation of skilled women in construction has played a pivotal role in their advancement in the key economic sector.
The capital city's skyline is expectant of a new feature, with the AfricZim Africa Trade Center project in Harare almost complete. The 35,000 square meter site has 190 women applying their skills with excellence.
Ndiri muvaki mukuru bhirida manyama vaya saka tine tichivaka mabuildings esa yari pano vensenzi dishataring lapana kuconference so siyabe sikhipha amadokha okuthiwa yiwo ayaveza bambe i-plyboard so yikho siyabe sikwenza ngaqalisa ngile-apprentice kade sengu-artisan class 1
kuno mnasi tiri kuita ma-electrical installations ese project inoi pano tinomeka sure kuti pese pari kuda kuiswa magetsi tisu tiri in charge of that.
Women are also well represented in on-site management and oversight roles.
Maxen ndinotarisa kuti vanhu vasvika pabasa nematrades avo with their different trades vangani ndivanani. Then as the day goes on, my responsibilities are to monitor quality, to monitor the basic day-to-day works.
My young ladies musanyeperwa kunzi kuconstruction akuiti kunonakidza zvisingaite. Look what you're building here.
The construction projects being carried out under the Second Republic have created opportunities for increased participation of women in line with the inclusive development agenda. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
An update from the court system. The Judicial Service Commission is set to introduce the alternative dispute resolution system in the criminal and civil courts as a way to decongest the courts while also lessening the backlogs.
As part of efforts to enhance the judicial system, the JSC is set to introduce the ADR system, a move described as a game changer by a legal expert.
The alternative dispute resolution is more informal than a court setup. In other words, it can be described as an out-of-court settlement. So this is a situation whereby either a conciliator may be appointed, or a mediator may be appointed, or an arbitrator can be appointed, or lawyers of the parties involved can be engaged. So in that regard, the solution that will have been reached at out of the court settlement is binding amongst the parties. It's a noble thing in the sense that it reduces backlog.
Mr. Magwatsine also highlighted that there are matters that can be dealt with using the ADR system instead of the courts.
You will find that most people who come into court, they might be failing to find each other on a very simple issue. So an alternative dispute resolution is to simply give a platform where the parties find each other. So this will then help reduce the backlog in the courts, as some cases which are deserving will then be referred to those platforms. Like the Chief Justice said, experts will be assigned to handle such situations. There are some cases whereby the parties involved might be having a good relationship, which has only been dented by the fact that the other party did not behave in the way he or she was expected to have behaved with property left in his or her trust. So a conciliator or an arbitrator or a mediator will be expected to make the parties find each other, to make the party who has suffered loss be restored to the position as if nothing had happened. Then their relationship is also allowed to move forward.
The JSC is also set to introduce fast-track courts at all courts, as well as rolling out the integrated electronic case management system at the magistrates' courts countrywide, amongst other initiatives that will enhance service delivery. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
From the courts, we now take you to Russia, where the Zimbabwean technical team, comprising architects and engineers, engaged their counterparts in Kazan, Russia, this Friday to work on a model that will inform the redesigning of the Mbare Musika traders market that meets international standards.
The Kazan Agro-Industrial Park is a model being adopted by many countries to offer safe and organized trading spaces for small-scale entrepreneurs within the agricultural value chain. Zimbabwe is looking at adopting this concept to inform the redesigning of Mbare Musika traders markets as part of the response and recovery plan being implemented by government after the inferno that raced down the traders market last year. Engineer Lawrence Mberikwazo, one of the technical experts currently in Kazan, tells us about the experience at the agro-industrial park.
We've managed to go and see the works which are happening at their Kazan Agro Traders Market.
Looking at the interactions that you had with your counterparts here in Kazan, what were some of the important highlights from the interactions that you had?
I think one thing which they have, which we equally share, is the pace to which the works will be done. And it's also the longevity. When they were building their structures, they built it in modular sections, meaning they had a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 under one block. And as such, we would want to have a master plan, a grand master plan. Then as we are working, we will be moduling it to suit, meaning our traders, our SMEs and entrepreneurs will be filling in as we are building the works. So we have been given a serious mandate to modularize our way of construction of Mbare 2.
The design, while responsive to local needs, will follow the standards of the Kazan Agro-Industrial Park.
It's always very important to learn from best practices. And we learned what we are supposed to do is to apply the principles to the climate of Zimbabwe. Because what's important about a building is to get the correct U values of the materials that make the thermal fabric. U value, I mean, what is the air-to-air transmission in a certain climate? Because that is what keeps the produce fresh.
Implementation of this project will build from the temporary structure that has already been set up for traders at Mbare Musika. Government reckons the Kazan Agro-Industrial Park model is a launchpad for Zimbabwe to implement standardized trading spaces for small to medium-scale enterprises that will be replicated across the country. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Kazan.
We are streaming live on our Facebook page. It's always good to know, especially from those in the diaspora. Where are you watching from, Joyce?
It is good to know that people are watching from all over the world. And Herbert Mushai is saying Maniru Akanaka Muri Zimbabwe, and he also says Zororai Murugari Magamba is Zimbabwe.
Well, that's so nice to see the viewers engaging on our Facebook page. We are streaming live ZBC News Online, and I must acknowledge Ishmael Matasha is one of our loyal fans there streaming live on our Facebook page. We see you there, Ishmael. Do partake in the comments taking place there. Now, stories ahead to come in this bulletin. Police Information Management System set for implementation. The system will include forensic laboratory, crime management, and electronic traffic management. Much later in sport, football fans in a quandary about the ZIFA elections, raising questions about the voting process.
Well, do stay with us for those and more stories coming up after this break.
The Zimbabwe Tourism Authority is calling all operators of tourist facilities who have not registered or those with expired licenses and certificates to come forward and register their facilities in compliance with the provisions of Section 36 of the Tourism Act, Chapter 14, 20 of 1996 by 15 February 2025. According to Statutory Instrument Number 106 of 1996, categories of the tourist facilities that must be registered with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority include but are not limited to conference organizers, restaurants, whether in hotel or otherwise, fast food restaurants, vehicle, bicycle, boat, bus hire, courier shops, tour operators, hunting operators, tour guides, non-hotel conference facilities and venues, travel agents including those online, accommodation including hotels, lodges, guest houses, camps and campsites, bed and breakfast accommodation, Airbnb accommodation, visitor attractions including game parks, farms, art galleries, visitor activities including golf, horse riding, bungee jumping, wedding venues, picnic picnic or bright sports, open air function venues. All facilities that register or renew their licenses and certificates on or before the 15th of February 2025 will have no penalties charged. From the 1st of March 2025, the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, in conjunction with law enforcement agents, will be deployed to bring all unregistered facilities to book. For further information and assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority offices that are located across the country. Travel and experience Zimbabwe.
Will be prioritized. Let's get more details.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police ZRP has been challenged to urgently deploy the electronic traffic management system to automate the enforcement of traffic regulations, with the adoption of the ZRP integrated information management system being the broader objective. Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage Minister Honorable Kazembe said this during his recent tour of Manicaland province.
Within the police itself, there will also be a ZRP integrated information management system within the police, which will have its own individual systems. Crime management system, which I know you're already working on, they have a pilot project, which is already being tried. Ballistic, whatever, forensic laboratory information management system, those are pillars which will lead into the ZRP integrated system. And also electronic traffic management system. That is our target for 2025.
Minister Kazembe raised a red flag over the increase in the smuggling of mainly second-hand clothes and fuel from neighboring countries, urging the police to step up efforts in dealing with these illegal activities.
Government is concerned with the increase in smuggling, particularly of second-hand clothes and fuel in this province. I'm aware of organized syndicates that smuggle second-hand clothing, bills, and fuel through Marymount and as far as South Downs, amongst other porous parts of the common boundary with Mozambique. It is very disheartening, to say the very least, to know that this is happening under our very own watch as police officers. The intelligence function should be the driving force for the effective detection of this menace.
Minister Kazembe also underscored the need to promote the maintenance of peace in the country to attract more investments and ensure accelerated economic growth. Kenya's Chivushe, ZBC News, Mutare.
It's time for us to cross over to our Montreux studio where Sibukile Maposa is on standby. Sibukile, good evening. It's over to you.
Thank you very much, Leanne and Joyce. Good evening, Zimbabwe. Let's carry on with news from this end. While drama unfolded in Montreux 7 village in Nsizha, where the family of a slain suspected gang member was forced to exhume the body of a woman they had buried after the Filabusi mortuary mix-up. Let's hear more.
In an unusual event that took place in Matabeleland South, a family found themselves burying the wrong body. What befell the Msipa family of Montreux 7 in Nsizha district may haunt them for the rest of their lives. While the family was still coming to terms with the heinous murder of their matriarch, Gogo Florence Msipa, who was heckled with a machete by her deranged son-in-law, having her body mistakenly buried by another family was bearable. Ironically, another family of the Msipa clan in the same area was mourning their son, who was gruesomely murdered in gang-related violence, and his body was at Filabusi mortuary. Whether out of sheer negligence or genuine mistake, Gogo Florence's body was handed over to Tulani's family for burial. The mix-up was then discovered when Gogo Florence's family came to collect her body for burial and were given Tulani's instead.
Kuyasihlukumeza kakhulu sibili ukuhlangana lento enje ngoba besivele singacabangela ukuthi sizahlangana lento enje bese sizwa ukuthi umuntu kasabonakala umuntu sengcwatshiwe kwenye indawo.
Kwangizwisa ubuhlungu lakhathesi kuyangizwisa ubuhlungu ukuthi umntaka nomnewethu ahambe ngendlela ebuhlungu kangaka. Thina sasesicabanga ukuthi maybe sigebenga lesi sifike senza amasalamusi samthwala sahamba laye.
Uthena engibiza mina wathi ujaka kabambeki. Sengimnika isigqoko sentena manini balezi igqoko so lengasinceda ngakho ingo silesimanga ngalokho kwenzekeleyo sithembile ukuthi khona bona abanyaradzo njengokubala laba basemahofisini lapha bavulela khona izidumbu bayayazi ngento ukuthi khona la ofikileyo babhala ibizo lakhe njengoba njengomthetho. So kuyasimangalisa ukuthi kati ibizo litshintshwe njani.
Authorities thanked families for cooperating.
Ngiyaswela lokuthi ngithina angikwazi lokuthi ngikubambe njani, but hayi ngiyabonga khona lokhu ukuthi lalo baba kube lephuthe belenzakela ukuthi umama azongcwatshwa ngapha engasewa ngapha. Sesimkhephile sesiyendaweni yakhe yokuphumulela yokugcina.
The bodies have since been laid to rest by their families. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News in Caesar.
Well, from tragedy to transformation, our next story is one that highlights development in Hwange, where ZANU PF councillors in an opposition-dominated Hwange local authority have managed to convince fellow councillors to implement a $150,000 United States dollar fisheries program aimed at transforming the livelihoods of the local community. Let's hear more.
The call to champion empowerment programs has not fallen on deaf ears. Despite constituting a minority, the ZANU PF councillors have worked to ensure a board resolution which will see the Second Republic-driven fisheries program rolled out by the local authority. The people of Hwange say this will have a positive impact on their livelihoods.
Kathesi singaqalisa uhlelo nalelo sizathola ukuthi aba youth ethu amaningi azathola umsebenzi.
Saka project ichatibatsira in terms of job creation, ichatibatsira kusimudzira nzvimbo yedu in terms of business chairo.
Program engaso eqaliswayo lapha eHwange. I program evele ya initiator umongameli wethu uPresident Idi Mnangagwa.
The councillors say the fisheries program will serve as an important revenue generation stream.
Takuda kutanga nazo muna January kusvika muna June tomuda kuti tivake mafish ponds. Pane ndau iko kundau yatinoti ku Don Bosco yakachiwa navesana navanhu kaji vakaveta zotina brick molding.
So taona kuti beta tigwirizane naveve ise va council na ise na administration yakaena wakwanisa kusakira project inango imodzi yameti ngayambe na yeve yakuti tikwanisa kupeza ndarama inango yamechuka kuinango. So makamaka yamene iliko iri kusogoro ni ya fish farming.
Fisheries under the presidential program have uplifted many communities in Zimbabwe, especially in rural areas. As local authorities search for more revenue generation streams, they have been encouraged by the Second Republic to embrace programs that enable not only collecting funds, but also ensuring they plow back into capital development projects. Mshomuli Ncube, ZBC News, Hwange.
The Avoca Bridge that connects Insiza communities with Gwanda was this Thursday night destroyed by incessant heavy rains.
Vilabusi to Matavisa in Insiza South found themselves stranded when the bridge that links their communities with the town center was destroyed by incessant rains that have been pounding the district. So that is the situation that villagers are risking lives trying to create a makeshift link.
Wonke umuntu osuke eWest Nixon udlala la, osuke eFlabosi udlala la. So kithi liqhakatheke kakhulu.
Ngabantwana besikole sebehamba nzima, lezi moto eziphathele ukudla sebesahamba nzima. Asazi ukuthi isicabanga ukuthi ngasenzela kanjani ngaleli simo esisibonayo kanje.
Iroute esira ngapha eST abantu abahlala ngapha besinywambizi abahlala ngapha bombawulu mabesiyazi beflabusi ngapha nazobulawa.
In Cicero District Council, Engineer Mtoniselo Ndebele was assessing the extent of the damage, said there is urgent need to repair the bridge to avoid further damages on the critical infrastructure.
The culvert looks very intact, it's still fine, the structure is okay, but the road structure, the bases are the ones that have been washed away. Basically what will need to be done, I think, from preliminary is that we need to bring in material that is stable before we construct the road.
The incessant rains have also destroyed Simwambisi Dam in the same community, with the area legislator calling for responsible departments to quickly repair the critical infrastructure.
Abantu bonke kulama ward aphecheya ngapha, Ward 7, Ward 6, bonke abantu abangapha kusukela lapha kusiya eMbembezi ebekezela mapeume konke kuqansa kusiyala. So ngumsebenzi omkhulu njengoba ubona akusela bus engakwanisa ukuthi ihambe lapha, akusafananga uvunyelwe ibus ngoba izulu nandi lilokho lisina.
Tebeleland South has been receiving incessant rain since December last year. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News in Caesar.
In a significant step towards combating drug and substance abuse in Victoria Falls, a new daycare center for drug and substance abuse rehabilitation is set to open its doors in the first quarter of this year.
The center, funded by government to the tune of over 1.8 million ZiG, will undergo structural adjustment to an existing building. This funding will also cover the acquisition of furniture, consumables, and essential medicines.
A drug-free community would have the workers in the right frame of mind that are going to give professional service to the visitors in Victoria Falls. And in my view, that speaks well because it would mean that there is confidence in terms of the personnel that gives quality service to the visitors.
The center, with a capacity of 30 patients, will offer services such as counseling, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and family therapy.
I also want to appreciate government because over and above the money that they've given us, they are also going to be seconding specialized personnel, including a GMO. This is a doctor with a psychiatric background. They are also seconding a counselor and a therapist who are going to be stationed here.
This is for after the acute phase where someone has been attended in a collapsed state, in an unconscious state. That person will be assisted at the main hospital. But after that, once their acute phase has been managed and stabilized and they are stable enough, they need a follow-up service.
Awareness campaigns, strict sentencing for drug traffickers, and increased border patrols are other initiatives being implemented by government to combat drug and substance abuse. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
And that's all from Bulawayo. I am Sibigela Maposa. Now back to you, Leanne and Joyce in Harare for the rest of the bulletin from this end. Good evening.
Many thanks, Sibukele. It's always a pleasure seeing you there on the other side of the screen. Taking it up now from the capital. Urban farmers in Harare are optimistic of a good harvest following the heavy rains being received across the country.
Slowly evolving into a vibrant urban agriculture ecosystem, nearly every household in Harare is its own small plot or backyard garden where a variety of crops are grown for consumption and profit. While most crops had suffered severe moisture stress following a prolonged dry spell characterized by high temperatures, the rainfall currently being received across the country has brought some relief to farmers as most crops have been rejuvenated.
Ende tinoimba kuti tinokohwa
understand chimbodzurira kuti zvinatsoita zvakanaka muchibage umu kuti tiwane kuzokohwa zvakanaka but makonye chete ndo akangoti tibate pari zvino makonye ndo akatibata pari zvino but tichambotsvaga mishonga yekuti zvifambe zvakanaka.
Aiwa mumunda iye zvino aiwa taakufara nokuti mvura yakadzoka kana dziri modzi idzo dzanga dzatooma kunaya kwakaita mvura izvi zvitasaiwo kana mukatoona omega mutoona totiya kunaya kwayaita kudai patoone punduso kana kutochinja ndi mega mutongoonawo wangu watochinja kana kala wangu wato white kana kubika waita wangu uchatorosa mvura kuti ubhoilise kuti ari maveji uchibhoilisa.
Government has also incorporated urban farmers in its agricultural input support schemes, including the Pfumbuza Intrasa concept, so as to boost household food self-sufficiency. First, Kongoro says ZBC News, Harare.
As hopes are high in our yields, the government has also distributed over 700 mobile gadgets to agriculture extension officers in Mashonaland West Province this Friday.
With digitization central to all economic activities, government is not leaving the agricultural sector behind. This comes after the distribution of more than 700 tablets to all agricultural extension workers from across Mashonaland West Province, a move set to enhance data collection, storage and communication systems.
Zvinhu zvanga zvichitinetsa kuti pamwe tichipa ma-inputs tichiita data collection during extension unofamba nemapepa anorasika, you need to take some pictures ekuratidzawo kuti pawafamba zvakamira sei. Tablet rinoratidza kuti high quality tablet richaita kuti efficient reporting system yedu, efficient data collection and efficient extension.
Senguva ino yatiri tinoita program inonzi crop and livestock assessment. Tinonyanyoshandisa ma-tablets iwaya ku capture information ema-farmers.
The Deputy Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Honorable Vangelis Haritatos, presided over the ceremony where he spelled out the advantages of using the gadgets.
Without agricultural statistics and information, as policymakers, we run a great risk of shooting in the dark. It is with great pride, therefore, that we will launch this tablet distribution program here in Mashonaland West. As you know, our extension workers play a crucial role in bridging the gap between modern agricultural practices and our hardworking farmers.
The event was also an opportunity for the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Professor Obet Jiri, to give an update on the containment of the African armyworm. While government has also distributed motorcycles to agricultural extension workers to complement the digitization initiative. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Kadoma.
Now, as tribute messages continue to pour in, war veterans have paid tribute to the late Major General retired Solomon Siziba, describing him as a towering military strategist who served the nation well.
Major General retired Siziba, who died this Wednesday, has been described as a renowned military figure whose death left a void that would be difficult to fill. The late Major General retired Solomon Siziba was part of the brave Manama school children that joined the liberation struggle in the 1970s in Zambia at a tender age.
He was a hard-working man. As you can see, he was a Major General coming from school. So up to now, he has been serving his country. That was really a good example of what patriotism is all about.
First of all, it took a brave young man to join the liberation struggle. So that is the best description, that he was a brave man. And once we had matured, he was an organized man, very organized. This is why we remained friends, both of us were organized. But what can we do? I have lost a good friend.
In the aftermath of Zimbabwe's independence, the late national hero was attested into the National Army, where he continued to serve his country with distinction. The late rose through the ranks of the Zimbabwe National Army until his retirement last year as Major General.
He was defense attaché of Zimbabwe, Botswana. Wapenduka ekaya from Botswana, he was appointed National Prosecuting Authority, attached there by the Zimbabwe National Army. And he did very well as Brigadier General Inspectorate, Inspector of Army. Inspector ama units ukuthi benza kuhle standards se army bas maintainer.
For many, the late will be remembered for his dedication in serving the cause of independence.
Wa fulfill futhi members of the National Army, including Siziba, kuma United Nations missions lapha behamba khona under United Nations program ukuthi bebona ukule peace in other countries. So silahlekelwe kakhulu njenga balweli benkululeko.
Ungumuntu lwana owayelozwelo, ungumuntu lwana onguleader, ungumuntu lwana ongubaba. Isikhala sona esasichile sibuhlungu kakhulu.
Silahlekelwe kakhulu. uSiziba sikhule sonke sesijoyine iZimbabwe National Army. Ngambona ekhula esuka ukuba ngcaptain waze waba ngucolonel.
We step knowledge from ubaba uSiziba. And that knowledge yes ukuthi la namhlanje nxa singathi sifune enye history sizayiswela.
The board of National Hero arrived in Wula this Saturday at the Kumalo Barracks, where it was received with honor in an emotional traditional Venda culture. A funeral service will be held this Sunday at his home area in Khwaligwanda, with a parade in honor of the late to be held at Lookout Masuku Barracks on Monday. His body will be interred at the National Heroes Acre on a date to be announced. He is survived by 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Ilantamoy, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
We now give you an update from the courts. A case of domestic violence has landed a man from Lupane in jail after he was convicted of physically assaulting his wife.
A man from Lupane was convicted of 2 counts of domestic violence involving physical abuse against his wife and sentenced to 12 months imprisonment with 6 months suspended on condition of good behavior. A domestic dispute arose at their homestead over the complainant's whereabouts on Christmas Eve. During the altercation, the accused assaulted the complainant with open hands and fists, inflicting injuries on her face. The complainant managed to escape and sought refuge at her aunt's homestead within the same village. The accused later visited the complainant at her aunt's homestead and sought forgiveness. The complainant was permitted to return to their shared home with the accused. However, upon their arrival, the accused again accused the complainant of infidelity. He then armed himself with a whip and assaulted her multiple times on her body. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, viewers are advised to take domestic issues lightly and not take the law into your own hands. We're taking a break to stay for arts coming up after this.
In every heart is the dream of greatness. Football is more than a game. It is hope. It is unity. It is the future. Every journey starts with a single kick. As a dedicated and passionate individual, I, Nqobile Magwizi, am ready to lead Zimbabwean football into a new era. My transformative agenda is built on uniting stakeholders, restoring integrity, and fostering grassroots talent. I firmly believe every player deserves a chance to shine. From our humble beginnings to dreaming on the global stage, we know that talent must be nurtured and dreams deserve to flourish. That's why I'm asking for your vote to become the president of the Zimbabwe Football Association. It's time to focus on the ball. Together, we can restore pride, nurture talent, and create a lasting legacy for future generations. Vote for me, Nqobile Magwizi, and let's transform Zimbabwean football together.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
A warm welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We dive straight into the arts where local music artists and practitioners looking to find personal development opportunities regionally and internationally have found support from Arts Connect Africa.
An organization formed to promote talent in the African continent and comprised of key players in the music festival industry are working to support artists to develop ancillary skills. Mary Annabel, a local musician, is one of many candidates who have directly benefited from the initiative.
Pajacaranda Music Festival ndaishanda as a stage manager kubatsira ma-artists kuti batake riders avo ese zvavari kuda pastage zvese zviri on point before vaenda pastage ende zvinhu izvi zvakandibatsira because semuimba anogara angori pamberi pevanhu unokwanisa kuappreciatawo basa riri kuitwa nevanhu vanoronga mashows and ndinotenda nekuti Jacaranda Music Festival yakandipa mukana uyu.
Co-founder and board member of Arts Connect Africa, Mr. Walter Wanyanya, looks to encourage local participation on the world stage.
ACA is going to benefit Zimbabwe is that we've already seen work happening. The initial ACA AGM actually happened in Zimbabwe, which saw all the members of the ACA organization coming to Zimbabwe to share at the Jacaranda Music Festival workshops. We're keen to see Zimbabwe being a participant on the world stage, not only just seeing our artists perform on different platforms all over the world, but also we want to see our professionals, people that are also behind the artists, going out and actually taking part in different conversations that are critical in the growth of the creative economy of the world.
This initiative will ensure more opportunities for personal development among those in the country's arts sector. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
Elena Jakata's Tanyaradzwa takes pole position on the Radio Zimbabwe chart show this week. That and more in the following report.
The Radio Zimbabwe chart show has become a battle for top spot after only 2 weeks in 2025, with Leonard Jakata's Tanyaradzwa toppling Madam Boss's Mnamato Wedu featuring Denzel Jordan. Loveness Mainato's Uripi was the week's biggest loser, from 10th place last week to number 19 this week. Toki Vibes Good Naye managed to make it to the top 3 after garnering 2,200 votes. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
And now all eyes are on the ZIFA presidency vote. This to come in sport. Do stay with us after this.
The Big Brother Mzansi house is giving spice. It's giving umlilo. So find some shade, because the housemates have entered the chat and they will tell what they must for the 2 meter. It's all about keeping it cool, even when they are seeing flames. Asbanye.
Big Brother Mzansi Season 5 starts Sunday, 12th January at 6 p.m. only on the home of local.
Big Brother Mzansi, proudly sponsored by Lotto Star.
Get your business ready for the festive season with ZBC. Join us for the ZBC Mega Festive Business Promotion running from the 1st of November of 2024 all the way to January 31 of 2025. Enjoy an incredible cash discount of over 50% across all ZBC platforms. This is your opportunity to make your business shine. So celebrate with ZBC and watch your business thrive by simply booking your spot right now. For more information, call Tandeka on 0719 594 426 or Martha on 0719 593 532 or Precious on 0719 593 510 or email tandeka.mubi@zbc.co.zw. Terms and conditions apply.
In our story, making headlines in sport, with the ZIFA elective Congress just around the corner, scheduled for the 25th of January, fans are raising important questions about the voting process. The new ZIFA Executive Board will be confirmed at the Congress, but many are left wondering who really votes for these candidates. Let's hear more from Anna Shemrombedzi.
The confusion stems from the complex structure of the ZIFA Congress, which comprises 78 members from various football stakeholders. But who exactly are these stakeholders and how many votes do they hold?
Zvinhu zvacho hazvina kuswatuka. Hauzivi kuti ndiani anofanira kunovhota. Is it my former players? Is my executives are my football associations? You don't know who is going to vote.
Susu vanhu varikuda kuvhoterwa tikuvaziya.
asi nyaya yasingazivi ndeyekuti ari kufanirwa kuvhota wacho ndiani. Isusu tinotenderwa here kuvhota kana kuti kune vanhu vari selected kuvhota.
Vanonyatsokunzwisa nezvebhora nditi special vanokwanisa kuvhotera munhu wavanoona kuti ndiani anokwanisa kuita president weZIFA.
Of late there were some kind of concerns that the ZIFA councillors, whom I think will be the ones who will be doing who will be voting. There are claims of bribery, corruption here and there, all over and over again, since way back. So I would love to think there should be some kind of ways and a criteria that should be brought up so that at the end of the day, football will become the victor.
Vese vari kuvhotesa pari zvino izvi tikanyatsotarisa anonzi makanselas acho kubva kwokutanga from the grassroots makanselas acho anofanira kunge achitovhoterwa futi kuti apinde muoffice.
Bringing it down, the voters are grouped into several categories. Firstly, the Men's Premier Soccer League has 18 clubs, each with 1 delegate and 1 vote, totaling 18 votes. Additionally, the Men's Premier Soccer League Executive Board has 1 delegate with 1 vote. The Women's Premier Soccer League also has a significant say with the 16 clubs, each with 1 female delegate and 1 vote, totaling 16 votes. The Women's Premier Soccer League Executive Board also has 1 delegate with 1 vote. The regional leagues are also represented with the 4 men's regional leagues having 4 delegates each, totaling 16 votes. The women's regional leagues have 1 delegate per region, totaling 4 votes. Furthermore, the 10 men's provincial leagues each have 1 delegate with 1 vote, totaling 10 votes. Schools and institutions are also represented with the National Association of Primary School Heads, National Association of Secondary Schools Heads, and the National Association of Tertiary Institutions, each having 2 delegates with 1 vote each. Lastly, other associations such as the Beach Soccer National Association, Futsal National Association, and area zones also have 1 delegate each with 1 vote. With 11 positions up for grabs, including the president and 2 vice presidents' posts, the stakes are high. The ZIFA Elective Congress will take place on the 25th of this month. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, now that Anashe has clarified things, I'm definitely not one of the voters, but may the best win. Now, still staying with the world's most beautiful game, the Zimbabwe senior women football team, the Mighty Warriors, are expected in camp next week to prepare for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers slated for South Africa next month.
Coach Ostetelelo Kinji 15 Sibanda has called up a strong squad of players from various local clubs to report for national duty. From Orientals, there is Lindiwe Magwede, Agnes Tumbare, Alice Moyo, Shailin Dambamuromo, and Maud Mafuruse. Black Rhinos Queens players Rutendo Makore, Precious Mujgiwa, Christabel Katona, Purity Mugai, Daisy Kaitano, and Mavis Chirandu are also part of the team. The first round of matches will take place between the 17th and the 26th of February. The Mighty Warriors will face Angola in a highly anticipated opening match that will set the tone for their qualification campaign.
And now, defending Paramount Garments Under-20 Rugby League champions, the Pitbulls have kicked off their title defense in style after thumping the Zambezi Steelers 29-10 at Old Georgian Sports Club today.
Rugby fanatics this Saturday got a chance to quench their thirst as the 2025 junior rugby calendar opened in thrilling fashion at the Old Georgian Sports Club. With the tussles on the field of play, the lively crowd got to enjoy beautiful grassroots rugby as traditional powerhouses, the Pitbulls, picked up from last year's tempo as they are retaining their crown. Pitbulls were shaky in the first period as the Zambezi Steelers went toe-to-toe with them in the headline match of the season opener, much to the delight of revelers who thronged the sports club in their numbers.
It's always good for the rugby season to come around again because it's enjoyable to see the rugby community back together. But obviously it's a bit hard now being outside, you know. Sometimes you wish you could be back on the field in the under-20 shirts, but it's just a good vibe to be out here back, you know. January, rugby season's back and the boys are playing out there again.
Guys, you know, they've been putting in the work. And, you know, now I guess it's time to show off their skills. You know, coaches are up there watching. And, you know, it's good to get that game time, you know, before the Bus Trophy. You know, just continuous playing, working on your skills.
The Pitbulls kicked off the campaign with a convincing 29-10 victory over the Steelers. The defending champions showcased their tenacity, fighting off first-half woes to beat the Zambezi Steelers and kick off the campaign on a perfect note. Reynald Ngwarati, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, that's a wrap on the news at 8. From us here at Pocket Hill as well as Montrose, where Sibukeli Maposa joined us. It's a wrap, Joyce?
It is. Good night.
Good night.
Another chance, Nyakchela Mpincha. Most, if not all parents, wish the best out of their children. It gives them a great sense of glory and achievement